Hello everybody, today we are going to talk about list comprehensions, which are sometimes called expressions, formulas. I will tell you soon what are they, but before that we should see what problem do they solve, because that way it will be 10 times easier to understand them, believe me. Okay, so imagine a problem like that. We have numbers, a list of numbers, like for example 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and we want to raise each of the number to the power of 2, for example, and we want to create another list based on that list, right? So in order to do it normally, we would create a list, empty list, that would store the powered numbers, and then we would go through each of the element inside, through each of the item inside, through each of the entry inside of that list, and then we would just append to the end of that powered number list each of that item raised to the power of 2. And that's all, right? We've just created list of numbers that are raised to the power of 2. That's all. But we can write this thing a bit different way. The way will be more elegant, stylish. It will look better than this, okay? And how to do it? Well, in order to do it, we're gonna type square brackets, and then we're gonna type firstly what we want to do with each item inside of the old list, like for example numbers. So we want to raise each of the element to the power of 2, and then we need to say somehow inside the list comprehension, inside this expression, inside this formula, where are these elements from, right? Because right now we just said we want to do something with elements, but we didn't say where do they come from. Okay, so they come from this list here, right? So we should say something like that. For element in numbers, and that's all. So we've just replaced this thing by this thing, right? We can now save the result inside, for example, powered numbers too. We can run the module, and now powered numbers will return us powered numbers, and powered numbers too will return us the same thing. So this is just an alternative way of writing this thing. This is more stylish, more elegant. For some people it might not look more elegant, right? Because you might be like, I'm not sure how to read that. Do not worry, because when you write that list comprehensions expressions a few times, you will see that it's pretty straightforward. You just need to practice it a bit, so do not worry. The most important thing is for you is to remember that in the first place you type what you want to do with elements. In the second place you type where do you get that elements from, okay? And also notice that we do not have here any sign between what each of that statement, right? And I think it's good idea to just add enter here sometimes, because that way it's easier to see that you do a few things here, right? First, what to do with elements, and then where do we get them from, right? And also this module will run without any problems, and we're gonna get the result as we want it to. Okay, so let's go to the second example, like the even numbers. We want to have even numbers. So normally we would go through each element, each item inside the numbers list, and then we will check if there is a rest of the operation like that. Element modulo 2 is equal to 0. Because if that is equal to 1, it means that it is an odd number, right? But we want even numbers. So if that's true, we're gonna append that element to the even numbers. But how to do it using the list comprehension? Because, well, we have got a condition here. How to insert condition inside here? Well, let's do it. So even numbers 2 equals, now the square brackets, and what? First, we want to say what we want to do with the items inside. Well, we don't want to do with them anything other than adding them to that new list, right? So we're just gonna type element. You need to type something here, always. So if you don't do anything with element, just type element. And then we're gonna say where did we get that element from. So we got it from the numbers, from that list here, right? And then we type the condition based on the element, based on the item from here. So we can just copy this condition here. If element modulo 2 is equal to 0. This is our condition, right? And now that's all. We can run the module. We can type the even numbers too. And as you can see, the result is this. I've put here something like that for you. This is a snippet for you that you can look at when you forget how it works. So again, first you type what you want to do on element, on each of that item, on entry, right? And then you, well, unfortunately do not type any sign between all of these things. That's why it's a bit harder to read. That's why we type the enter between each of that line, right? But well, I did add here that pipe here just for the sake of clarity, right? But normally you do not use it. And then you add what? Where you get the elements from. And then you type the condition that is based on element. And that's all. You just created a list based on some kind of old list, right? And well, I call this a formula because it's like a math formula. It's some kind of expression, right? And it returns the list when it finished its job, right? So why to use it? Because it's a cleaner way and what's more, faster way than this one. You need to know that this thing is gonna execute faster than this thing because append method is slower. And here there are some optimizations going in the background that are gonna make it run faster. So when you have a situation like that, it's really better to use the list comprehensions instead of the typical way like that. It's also good to know that, well, we do not need to have a list of numbers like here, right? We could just generate these numbers very fast. Imagine that you want to raise to the power of two numbers from, for example, 0 to 20. Well, we do not need to create it manually like that, right? We can just instantly change here. For example, where do we get that elements from? We can just type here in range to 21, right? So now when you run the module, you will notice that we instantly got numbers from 0 to 20. It's cool. You want more? Okay, so for example, 51. So powered numbers too. We've instantly got numbers like that. So it's a powerful way to generate numbers. You also need to remember, again, I'm just telling you that numbers like that or data like that is gonna come from normal a database or a file. So it will be like 10 times more useful, right, to get something from file and then do some operations on the list very fast using, for example, list comprehensions, right, using the list formulas, and we could transform the thing that we got from the file, like here, very, very fast, because these comprehensions work faster and in a cleaner way, right? More elegant way. That's all in the lesson. Thank you very much.